Hi, John here. It's Thursday today, the 30th of November 2014. This is a message to my lawyer, QC, Taek Choi, Queen's Counsel and Notary Public. I've written to you today, this afternoon, quite a long letter, and in it I'm explaining what has happened, just to bring you up to date, because you have the legal documents in 2013 from me to do the case. At the time I wasn't quite ready. I wanted to do a bit more research because Aaron Pascoe, the detective, criminal detective inspector, not inspector, detective sergeant, told me otherwise, don't go onto the property, and that put him in a third party tampering with the evidence of this case. So he's now a complaint. One of the complaints, there's 4 complaints gone to the High Court of Admiralty in London, to Judge David Lindsay Mackey. So that's complicated matters for the police, because they don't want to get involved in a commercial lien international private contract. It's between me and somebody else, because once they start interfering and tampering with our evidence, then they're implicated in the fraud. So in this case he was, so I had to do a bit more research. It took me another 6 or 8 months just to find out, to make sure that that part of the law was satisfied. He had made a error, a mistake with Tuhoi raids, the police raids, using the martial law. This is what I'm under this flag is martial law, to arrest people without jurisdiction. Okay, so we're going into jurisdiction of King William IV flag, seal, that I'm using. I'm going as the surrogate king, Mr. Choi, because that's the only way to be a monarch of at least our indigenous native titles here on these lands. Okay, so the government here is now in quandary without a queen, as being in Westminster, because he's stepped out of Westminster into the EU Parliament now, and no longer a sovereign for England as such. Why she's abdicating soon, it's going to be a point in question of whose oath and declaration that the police are swearing to. That's another problem that they face when I go onto the land block and stand there and proclaim it back into the His Majesty King William's title, trust, okay, and our Moai crown, federal state, and Commonwealth now. There's the Commonwealth we're talking about. So we've got Commonwealth law, federal state law, and state law. The state law here is what the police are going under, and Aaron Pascoe said they must comply with the New Zealand law. So I had to go right over that and comply, Mr. Choi, which is your job in this part, to honour the monarchy, or whatever oath that the lawyers and the barristers are swearing to. While I'm on that, the barristers in Australia are now gone back and creating a letters patent, a brand new 2014 letters patent for using Queen Victoria as their monarch. You see what's happened there, because we're using the king as monarch, and they were using King George or King Edward as their monarch. Okay, and so when they went to do the Commonwealth, Mr. Choi, then that presented more problems, because in Canberra, and the FBI is stationed there with the federal state, shifted from Melbourne, where Australia was founded by the Prime Minister of Britain, Melbourne, right? And he shifted to Melbourne and set up there from Queen Victoria in Victoria, and also King William at that time was the King, His Majesty, when all those titles went together, okay? And so Adelaide, his wife, in consort, set up in Australia, as was Victoria, the New South Wales, the land information titles that Don Grant, the Land Register, Land Survey General in Australia for many years, retired. Okay, so he shifted here to New Zealand to take up the management of LINZ, Land Information New Zealand, under the influence of Doug Rickard Bell, property developer from Sydney, Australia. You see, so that both Australians came here and scarfed these land blocks here at the same time with Jamie Peters on this block I'm in here, and the 61 Cook Street that he had purchased from the council. And this is an inside job, Mr. Choi, by the way. Inside job from the council out into Jamie Peters, where that 61 Cook Street title came from. And so that title had a Crown grant, and also it had Crown roads. The road in the middle was like the motorway title for public to go through that block where they had the council buildings in the old days. And so when Jamie Peters bought that property, he bought it with the road title and also the other titles in the block. He got investors, at least 11 investors, to put in 300 million to develop the land block into high rise with the plans for 115 stories buildings. Okay, so he got into trouble with the Gulf Harbour properties on the North Shore, and so the bank wanted their money, the 100 million he got behind. So he approached me, or I rather approached him to say I can fix it. And so he had a bit of a chuckle and he didn't think I was being serious. But then when I started to talk, he says, well, here you go, here's all the documents for the title. He actually handed me the titles, I've got them, and said, okay, I'll leave it with you. And I knew what I was doing because I'd just come out of real estate not so long ago, and in New Zealand First as a candidate for Epsom with Gavin Logan at the same time. Him and I were the candidates there. So I know about politics, being in Winston's party. Anyway, from that we get to Jamie Peters masterminding the title with enter the next buyer, Doug Rickard Bell. They're both property developers and they knew what they were doing, because you know why? They were using the same lawyer when I investigated the property, and then I found out the same lawyers, McDonald and Andrew McDonald, what's his name? Anyway, the two lawyers were Hornibrook, Mark Hornibrook and Andrew McDonald. Okay, the two lawyers were acting for both those men, and so it went to auction, and I told them not to sell it. David and John Bailey. I went there personally and gave them the Lien caveat, the caveat, okay, lapse of caveat. And so during that time, they went ahead anyway and sold the property. So they were stuck to this interest that we had registered in the Land Information Office. You see, so we had our original names on the title as is required under the Land Act 1952, Land Transfer Act. Okay, so the land information with Robert Muir and also Robert Andrell, the Survey Register General, was involved with this fraud scam at the same time, because between Doug Rickard Bell, the mastermind behind it, was directing the sale to make a big profit, as was colonial sales of these lands here. They call Maori lands. In fact, they're not Maori lands. There was no such thing as Maori land at 1840. It was only Hapu. Maori iwi, Maori land, everything came in 1945. Okay, that's the only time that Maori word came into legal titles. Okay, anyway, Doug Rickard Bell constructed this fraud case and knew what he was doing. They all knew what they were doing, including Chris Finlayson, who the Attorney General signed it all off because they had to get higher authority on each level. That's where I'm coming from. Different levels of jurisdiction were coming into this title in order to make a mark, a precedent of these titles in the Commonwealth of Australia. Government land titles, the native land titles, the sales of those depended on these titles going through in this day and age. Okay? So anyway, you've got all those people involved now with Robert Platt selling the property. I went a day before they had the auction and gave them notice not to sell it. If they sold it, they would lose their whole business. Now, they're in the fraud as accessories. Everyone who is attached to Doug Rickard Bell is party to the fraud, Mr. Choi. And if you check up on the legal termination of all of what I'm saying is correct. I know what I'm saying, I know what I'm doing, and I put my name in front of all of them, one by one. My word against your word. Nothing to do with anybody. The cases I do have nothing to do with anybody but me and the one I'm accusing. And so there's many people I'm accusing, and they have not refuted anything of my affidavits. And affidavits are the truth of a case that will take precedent, as well as the history of title. Okay, there's title and titles and titles. So they forgot about where the title legally came from. It did not come from Tinana, Kawau and Tamaki. Those are the three names that the Crown picked. They picked those Ngāpuhi tribes from north, nothing against Ngāpuhi, but they put, and Tainui, and put those names onto their lens titles in Wellington and New South Wales to that land block where there was already a title on it to the Crown in England, the Crown Roads and the Crown Grants, which John Rogan did. Okay, so John Rogan constructed the provincial Auckland titles, Mr. Choi, which stretched down from Auckland to Gisborne, to the Hawke's Bay, to the east coast. Okay, so those titles still came under this main British Crown title that I'm doing here as the interest. May not have been financial interest, but it certainly is now as a creditor. To go onto their lens titles, where they got it from, and legally, because they can't prove, no one can prove to me against my affidavit that I'm saying that title on Cook Street we are seizing, I'm seizing it as a surrogate king, King William the Fourth surrogate king. I speak for the King of England, and that's what's banding around England now in the news, on the alternative news, that I'm a King of England. I'll gladly take that job on because I know what a king does. I'm not alone because HRH Geoffrey Foley Lord High Constable of Lord Hayton Castle in Wales, is a future King of England. In fact, he is the King of England at John Foley at 600 AD. So I'm going back to Moai being 300 AD, and Kupe for Ngāpui at 980 AD. So that solves that problem of these land boxes, who is who, because everything like that is in here, including, as you'll see, John Rogan, the judge, and he was an attorney then, and as well as a land surveyors. And they're from Kaipara Harbour, in the Manukau family, married into the Rogans, and so that's the only way you're going to get a birth certificate like what Mohi Tamati Manukau had, 1830. Okay, Te Kuru Manukau, title 18. Those are the titles to these land blocks. There is no one else at that time who could get closer to the Rogan British judges and lawyers at that time than my family, the Wanoas, to Dick Rogan at the East Cape. Okay, so that's in the Maryland Court in Gisborne, was where all the titles were put together for the New South Wales Victoria, Queen Victoria titles from there. But I'm talking about the titles that came straight from Plymouth in England, Devonport, which is in here. We're going to seize Devonport, King William's estates all over the world with this book. This is a court on wheels, Mr. Choi. It is everything that you'll ever need in a court is in this book. And you don't have to go anywhere. It's a 2-hour case in the High Court of Admiralty in London that I'm conducting online on Facebook, which is admissible in the High Court of Admiralty in London. All this is on Facebook, including these other bits I've just got done to fit in to the same title. And you'll see here TPPA, okay, in this document here, is going to be added because I spoke in front of the US Embassy on Customs Street here, in front of all the people who are protesting and marching down Queen Street from Aotea Centre to the embassy to stop John Key selling this place, this country and our resources without our consent. Now, I've told John Key he's already convicted. I'm going to get to him yet. He'll be stripped of everything he owns, doesn't matter anywhere in the world, because he's in treason with Sean Lice, Chief Justice. Sean Lice with the Queen. They're accessories to the Queen, who's a convicted criminal felon in the World Court by the ex-bishop, ex-minister of the Catholic Church, Kevin Annette, and the Indian Cree tribes chiefs. Okay, so I'm with them. I'm also with John Patterson. He's a ex-police military in London, Surrey, England. So he's retired now, but he's got all the information that'll put them all away, including the Queen. But they can't do anything because they're not monarch like myself. The Wanoa and the Rogans are in these titles, okay? So there's nothing anybody can do to get past that, because that is the authority here that the government in New Zealand is using. Somebody is using this title. Now we've got the judge in here in London, and in the book that you're looking at now, that I've sent to you online, and that's the national debt there that I'm addressing with John Key, and as his debt, not Moai Crown, but his Maori iwi and the government in Wellington's bill. When it comes to levy against the $5 billion on the Cook Street property, Mr. Choi, that we're going to print the pound note of 1830 to 1837 Bank of England Act under King William the Third, 1694 and William IV at 1830. The Bank Act 1834 and also the Admiralty Acts. You'll see the acts there I'm using. The Bank of England Act, the Money Act as well, the 1834 Printing Money Act, and the coins. You'll see a lot of the coins of King William the Fourth. I'll be minting those with the debtors' levy against the gold bullion that's been stolen by the Queen and taken out of England to Thailand and other places, Hawaii, Philippines, and Switzerland. So we're going to pay everyone with the pound note that we put up against, the same as the Cook Street, 5 billion. Okay, so that's how we do it. We'll put all the names: John Key, John Bailey, David Bailey, Robert Platt for the Baileys, and those lawyers, and also everyone implicated in the fraud, including Simon Roundtree and James Brown, the present owners, if they turn up on the block and interfere with this. Okay, so I'm just warning them, keep away when I'm proclaiming that land back into our ownership now that there's fraud on it, and it's taken over 5 years to put all this together, so it's not going to just suddenly disappear. Now in this picture here, that'll go into the book, I'll put them across to you, my lawyer. You can see me here in the picture at the rally, at the TPPA. I'm responsible with this flag to help those people to arrest the property of John Key and all the anybody who signs the you can see the flag burning there, right? The TPP flag burning. Okay, before they had the ring. Okay, so that's a message, clear message from the people of this country and Auckland that they are no way are they going to come and railroad their corporate companies right over us. No, we're here with this flag for the people of the world. Okay, under Moai and King William, separate from everybody else. So I'm just saying that to the countries, there's 12 of them altogether in the TPP. Well, it'll be TPPA when they make their agreements. This is a warning to all those countries, including America. Obama and China is not a member of the TPPA, so they're not included, but they're going to sign anyway. If they do, they'll be liable. They will be liable to a levy of the 970 million trillion pound notes in gold bullion. Okay? The British military will go after them, and they will be paid by the printed pound note. The printed Moai pound note. You'll see two of them there, a 50 pound note with Jamie Stewart on it. That's my private secretary. And Desmond Wanoa, he's holding the Moai statue as the title. The Moai statue standing in Dunedin, that's the one he's holding on to, in the watermark, is titled to the whole Pacific. Okay? I'm just warning the Americans that that is the title standing in London in Queen Elizabeth to Great Court. She's gone now, so I'm going to change it to King William IV, Great Court. Okay? The King will take over the trust. Okay? Of Queen Victoria Trust, 1844 is our trust. I'm going there as a head trustee, Mr. Choi. I'm going there to take over the trust and recover and salvage all of the King's Royal revenue back from the Queen, the Popes, the Vaticans, the Rothschilds, the federal states of the world, the Commonwealth states of the world, everyone linked and joined up to Queen Elizabeth. While she's still a Queen of England, she's now more likely to be a Queen of Brussels. Okay, so he's got a problem. He has a problem, and now Scotland is going to address that with us. We're going to team up with Scotland and their new first Prime Minister, Nicola Sturgeon. If you're listening to this video, hope you are, then we are coming with this flag to Plymouth and Devonport Navy of William Yard. The William Yard we're going to seize. That's his memorial here in William Yard. So that's King William IV's estate. We're going to seize with this warrant. Okay, that's how everything's there. All these acts we are allowed by commercial trading partners with him and the British government to use our acts because we haven't used them yet. Okay, so the government here is with the Queen contract in Wellington with Land Information, New Zealand, Australia, New South Wales and Victoria. They're on the Victoria women's side, okay, which is the debtors. They're full of debt, as you saw here in this figure, 97 billion, okay, 94.29 billion. They've put this country and stitched it up. Now Judith Collins put in another 30 billion for her husband, the milkman. They've got a milk business we're going to strip off her because of her fraud. Everybody is going to be stripped of everything while Moai is talking. Okay, I'm talking for the king now. I'm talking for the king. And the king is everything. Legally, in the British law system, and also in our Moai law system as partners in this contract. Okay, the private contract between us, the same commercial contract that King William put together under his acts to go around the world, free passage. This is a free passage flag, Mr. Choi. It's got King George, okay, Queen Elizabeth's father, and King George before that is King William's brother. Okay, so King William is in the George family, and these our trading contract is these 8 stars, Mr. Choi. One is for Queen Victoria, now taken away and gone back to King William, and the other 7 is the Pacific Islands, the Pacific Ring of Fire, Moai Pacific Ring of Fire title, doctrine. So the Queen goes, everything that she owns comes back to the King. Okay, so this is the crown belongs to the King. Okay, this is a crown King's contract with us, with the Moai King crown contract. He's a crown too. So we've got 2 crowns, and they're sovereign monarchs, male line. Okay, so that's what I'm saying here to justify that the New Zealand Initiative Limited Company is the old New Zealand Business Roundtable, and all those businesses will be bill debted against that figure I said, 970 billion trillion pound notes in gold bullion, sterling cash balance. Okay, we're balancing the books. That's why I'm going to England, Mr. Choi, and I'm going to get the bank here to transfer that title with you and the conveyancing instruments to get an overdraft so that we can operate, I can pay you for your services, pay PricewaterhouseCoopers, Chris Taylor, to do the accounts, to keep it in line with the corporate system. We're running the corporate system in the government as Ngā Atua e Wā Aotea Limited. Ngā Atua e Wā Aotea Limited is a registered company in the company's office in New Zealand. Okay? The other company we're doing in England is Moai Crown, King William IV. Okay? Trust. That one will be setting up when I go there. It's already on our website that we're going into 250 countries with this flag. It's already got global trading in it, in Bank of England. Okay, so we're going there into the Bank of England to take our King William coins and King William pounds. Okay, the pound notes, to put them in the central banking, and we will credit ourselves against the debtors, John Key and such. So the directors of this the New Zealand Initiative Limited Company, that word initiative comes up on a lot of Commonwealth literature, okay, in the legal sense. It's there in statute law, okay, statute law. I'm following the law of statutes, okay, in that side. the other side is we're doing the acts of King William, Parliament at the time in Westminster, transferred to Devonport in Plymouth, and starting up a new Parliament there, just in case they got rid of. The EU wanted to get rid of Westminster, so we're just going to kick off a new government with Scotland in Devonport, and then transfer the authority from the King to them in Westminster, and they can carry on. Okay, so that's a message to you, Nicola, that's what our intentions are legally. Okay, under this flag, and as I am a marshal, a court martial from the King William IV Admiralty jurisdiction and Constitution of the 1835, you'll see this year of 1835 appear on titles in South Africa, where the surrogate king went and proclaimed the land belongs to His Majesty, King William. Okay, then he went from there to America and did the same thing again. Okay, and proclaimed under King George. Okay, so there was Queen Victoria using the 1835 Acts of Parliament of King William that puts these Admiralty, shipping, merchant, mercantile, King of the Sea, trading, and manifest, and bill of lading, and HM customs, transporting of prized possessions for the His Majesty from all parts of the globe back to England. Okay, so the Queen has stripped out the HM Treasury trust account and took it out of the country. That's what Gordon Bowden, or more so George Lees, said, that he's got good information because he's an ex-pilot in the Air Force, and he knows a thing or two about who's who and companies like this that change their names, and there's no company there. There's no real physical company there. There's just the name that they put it into an office somewhere and operate the scam. Okay, so this one here is not a scam, but it's operating under somebody's authority, and it better not be this flag, and the Pope better not be this flag that they're using, and the Queen better not be this flag that they're using, because it's a contract. It's a commercial lien contract of mortgage. This flag belongs to us. Okay, it's our contract with the Ngāpuhi tribes, Ngāpuhi, and us, Tahitians. Okay, only those ones that sign, not all the other hanger-ons around. We are only talking about a little bunch of chiefs that bother to go to England. They're the ones that sign, not all the other hanger-oners. They won't be included in this lot. That's why they are not playing ball with the Confederation flag in this sense. That anyone using these, caught using these documents that have got the Moai on it and King William this side will get one of these hung on them as well. So be very wary of that, Mr. Choi, that anybody that's caught using these documents, then there's a job to rein them in, to try them. And these cases are only 2-hour cases online. That's it, all over. So all I require you to do is to sign the documents, because we've done all the work. We've done all the work, and all I require you to do is to use, to recover 10 million of the 300 million that I'm estimating for a start, and there's more, right up to 5 billion from Doug Rickard Bell being party to the big amount of 970 million trillion. Okay, so the 5 billion, sorry, out of that big figure is just a portion of it, right around the 250 countries in the world we're going into with the flag. Okay, so the 5 billion, whatever we recover from Rickard Bell, then that's the end of him. We can lock him up after that, or do what we want. We're keeping him out, we're keeping all the fraudsters out, because they're no good locked up. until we've stripped them of everything they own. That includes QC Peter Williams. If you're listening to this video, you're in the drug trade as implicated by Gordon Bowden and Doug Howlett, who's still alive. Okay, he's still alive, and so he's making a challenge to the Crown as well. So we can't do anything about that. He's Manuel is Queen Victoria's son. He's her legal son. The brother killed him. Okay, so he's the proxy. Doug Hallett is the proxy to Manuel. That's the son of the Queen Victoria. Okay, he's supposed to be the King of England. Well, that didn't happen because he got killed. And the Rothschild families had a part in that too. So the Rothschilds, your names are all in the box. So there's reason why no one, Mr. Choi, there's those names that I've got in there in the box with their photos and their names. Something tells me that the High Court of Admiralty in London says don't touch it. Or even the Lords in the upper house, right? The King's Lords, that's what the upper house is, said do not touch what I'm putting together. Okay? And if that's the case, that's what's happening. And what's happening to Scotland. Why all of a sudden everybody's trying to be honest. And Nicola Sturgeon doing a very good job gathering the people together. Finally, bring people together. That's what this flag's supposed to do, bring people together. So this is the company that in the fraud. Okay. Now we've got King William here with the coins. This is our money currency. Okay, we're going straight into this with the gold is 970,000 tons of gold outstanding. Okay, we're balancing the books, Mr. Choi, and so we're going to use these instruments against their names and start minting the gold that we recover. When the military goes out, we're going to pay them with a pound note to go and recover them all over the world. So we'll keep printing. We've got the printer ordered. There's another thing I have to do. 1836 Great Britain Gold 1 Sovereign King William IV slab engraved AU 58. So that's our currency that we have a legal right in the Bank of England and the central banking to go straight into that and pick it up and go. You'll find there's nothing in there. We'll be going into an empty vault, okay, as far as Gordon Bowden is concerned, and George Lees, and who's the other one? There's another one there. So those guys certainly know what they're doing. Gordon Bowden, John Patterson, and Gordon Bowden, George Lees, and John Patterson. Okay, those three guys. I'm going to meet up over there when I get there. There's the title for Queen Victoria in Australia. Okay, it clearly says that it was founded. Australia was founded in Victoria. Okay, Melbourne in Victoria. Melbourne, Prime Minister Melbourne of Britain at the time. Okay, so they're using 1835 this flag for their Declaration of Independence, because that's a declaration of an independent sovereign nation state. So you'll see on the South African, the American, and the Australian and New Zealand 1835. There's no other king with that capacity of authority, and that's what I'm holding here, Mr. Choi. I have that authority, all to myself, okay? And no one should try to challenge it. This is our sheriff's badge. The marshal will be carrying this. It's got the seal in the middle. That's King William IV on his horse and his ship in Plymouth, okay? And the 8 stars, one for each 7 wakas in the Pacific Islands countries, and one for King William now, not Queen Victoria's knocked off, because Queen Victoria corrupted her title. That's his crown, okay? King William's crown. So this seal is better than a paddle, because their paddle's got no real name in the Supreme Court in Wellington that Prince William opened. See, he doesn't want to be the King of England, because you know why? His wife has probably said to him, you and your grandmother, or me and you, one or the other. So he picked her, and the Queen is without him and his baby George. Okay, so she's being caught out in Brussels because they're all running for cover now because they've got a Satan acting in the EU Parliament. She signed the Lisbon Treaty, Mr. Choi, in 2008, and I was right there to affidavit all the way through. The fraud is caught before, during and after the offence. That's what I got against them in the 3,000 plus affidavits. Okay, so it's a big job, a commitment I've taken since 2000 of the Foreshore and Seabed Act and everything else in it. Those are the acts here that I'm using immediately on the cases, including the Hanging and Chains Act. Okay, including the Hanging and Chains Act, the Bank Act, Bank of England Act, the Savings Bank Act, and also the Money Act, Copyright Act. I'm using all those acts, and these ones here too, New South Wales Act, okay, in 1836. So that's the time of King William. Okay, Criminal Courts Act, 1837. King William's still alive. Now we get to this one. I'm just explaining to you, Mr. Choi, just to bring you up to date. This is Parliament in the shambles. This was the shambles on the 10th, okay, of 10th of this month. They're all at loggerheads, okay, with each other because of who's who, and they've got no power. 43 acts against them from the EU Parliament has restrained them from having full control of their economy and their trade and investment between countries. So we're going to use this flag with Scotland being the biggest out of the 3 countries, and including Ireland, who would probably come back in with us and go back to a 4th state, plus Moai, Aotea here, 5th state in the new look Westminster Parliament, and I'm going there to be a candidate for the SNP party, okay, this First National Party, okay, Nicola Sturgeon. Okay, I'll go to Plymouth and we'll get our sovereignty and our citizenship. It's British citizenship. We had the government in Wellington took it away, but I'm going there to put it back in. So we have British citizenship. I can become a candidate, and I'm pretty good at politics. Okay, I just want to tell everybody listening in London, Matt Taylor, and you guys, I know politics. Okay, I know back to front. Okay, now I'm not bloating either. It's just that's the fact. There's the pound note with Desmond Wanoa and Moai statue in Dunedin, in South Island here. And so they bought this stolen one from East Island in about 1953 and stuck it there. So that's our £1 note that we're going to print straight off as soon as we clear this block. We've got a printer on its way, okay, for the money. The paper money, plastic money, okay, like Australia, polypropylene, whatever it is. Yeah, that stuff. We're gonna start printing the pound note straight up against 5 billion. Okay, that's how you get paid. And so we got Jamie here, my secretary, there in that pound note, the £50 note with the watermark here, and the pigeon on this side. Pigeon, okay. So and then we got the Scottish £50 note. We'll actually print that one for them straight away, if they want, and put it under the flag. So it can go around through the Central Bank and the Bank of England. We'll put the issue through because we have authority of that bank with the acts. Okay, we use our acts of King William. That's King of Scotland. King William is the King of Scotland. Okay, that's the end of that. And then King of Ireland. He's the King of England. And now he's King of Aotea. Jeff Foley, HRH Jeff Foley, Lord High, Constable and Magistrate of Lord Hayden Castle, is the King of England as well, and Wales, okay, but particularly Wales. And so he's in here as well. So we've got a choice of monarchs. We've also got Matt Taylor having a challenge to the monarchy, as well as John Patterson. So I'm in for anyone being a king after we settle the account and square the books. Okay, we're going to balance the books with Scotland. because Alex Salmon wants to get audit accounts. So I wrote to him and I said I want an audit of accounts. So between now and May next year of the elections in Westminster, I'll have time to be there to speak with Nicola Sturgeon, the first Prime Minister of Scotland, to have a talk to put this all together, okay, like a jigsaw, and it fits. It fits. It'll send her country and her pound note, Scottish pound note, around the world, okay? Because at the moment she can only put it around Scotland, and the British and the Rothschilds own the Bank of England. Will seize it off them, okay? We'll seize it off them before they clean it out. Or even if they clean it out, we'll still go after it anyway, because we'll have a majority of people around the world that'll be for King William being the best out of the kings, okay? And he created 50 years of his work and his service to put all these acts together with his government, and also with the Navy side of the Admiralty law of mortgage liens. He constructed that, okay? And so they owe him one, but they put him in the sideline. We're putting him back up on the pedestal where he should have in the first place, instead of the rogue royal families. They're going to get stripped, the 300 of them, 300 royal families, the Vatican, the popes, the Queen, Benjamin Netanyahu, Obama, George Bush, Tony Blair, Gordon Brown. I can name them all. I'll name the whole lot of them to get not indicted, but levied. Okay, levied against that big figure. We're going to strip them all. Right. There's the notes, the coins of King William and his wife Adelaide. There, right? She's a consort in Australia. Consort, not a direct royal family monarch. Okay. So those are the other coins: the shilling, the florin, the sixpence, the threepence, the halfpenny, the penny, the crown, the coronation, and we're going to make them all gold. We're going to stamp them and mint them from the gold we recover. There'll be over 100,000 tonnes, a million tonnes of gold that we're going to recover with the warrant, with this warrant. So this is the other letter to the David Cameron. Okay, David Cameron. The letter, he did nothing about it, and his foreign minister, I forget what his name now, but his photo's in here. Anyway, so he's there. He's implicated in the fraud. He's a fraudster and a paedophile, according to Matt Taylor. So Matt, we're on a roll here, and I'm not going to disappoint you any longer after I do this land block in front of the whole world. Witness. Now, Mr. Choi, I have over 1 billion people, 1.4 billion people that have the chance to look at what we're flashing across them, all these documents, every single one of them, including the one with the flags. Okay, we've got our flags here of jurisdiction, okay? Because the British flag will change, it will change, it won't change this one, because King George will still live on in here, whether he's on that one or this one. This one now has the monarchy sovereign title crown on English soil, okay? The Queen is German, she's gone, so she doesn't count. I'm going there as the head trustee of our Queen Victoria Trust, Mr. Choi, because the Queen has abandoned ship, as to speak in legal terms of Admiralty court-martial law. She has abandoned ship, and she has stolen its wealth of the beneficiaries. These are the people here, the native Moai people, not Maori, because that word and iwi belongs to the Crown copyright, okay? It's nothing to do with us. The Maryland court titles belongs to the Crown. Ours are the British titles that we are installing on these lands, the new tenancy agreements for the tenants on 61 Cook Street remain there with better conditions, okay? Better conditions, because you're going to pay for the occupation of the lands, okay? That's all you're on about, occupation of the lands, and we will deal with things one-to-one, okay? One-to-one on site. When I come onto that site and proclaim the land back into His Majesty, the King of England. Okay, I'm really as if the King is standing here, me talking, as a native Indigenous monarch, sovereign. That's what I am, with Moai statue, our memorial to these mortgage titles. Okay, the mortgage instruments, legal instruments of conveyance. You need a memorial, you need a title, and you need a king, because the Queen's gone. You can forget about her coming back through the Supreme Court with the paddle against the seal of King William IV. It won't match the authentic documents with that seal on it against the paddle the Americans are using, the Australians, the Canadians, and the British, on the other hand, are using a paddle as their Admiralty of supremacy. Okay, so it's just a vice admiral. It's not a real admiral. They wouldn't know how to drive a ship in reverse, let alone master one. Like Obama, he's a chief in command of Admiralty, and Prince Philip can't even drive a ship over the bar. Okay, so as to speak. So they are only pretenders. They are not real. This is real. What you're looking at here is real. We have the Scottish flag, we have the Wales flag, the new Wales flag. So this is our new look flag for Britain. Okay? If we have our way, if it works out, we've got the British flag there, we've got the Scottish flag there, okay, and we've got the Wales flag there and there, right? So that's the new look British flag, and we've got our own King William flag there, which is this one, and the Moai flag there, okay? So the difference in both the Moai flag and the British flag with the King George is that we've got a cross here of DNA for all the people who come into the Moai realm and as shareholders and as equal opportunity people. So that's what I'm saying. So those are the flags of jurisdiction, Admiralty, and a Constitution 1835. Okay, we've got everything. We've got the 1852 Constitution, the 1868 Act that took away the Admiralty from the era of King William and put it into Queen Victoria. So we've gone back to the original continuity of title, and the King William is the last king in Britain with only seals. They melted all the other seals up, and that was the end of the kings and queens, when they melt them up to put them out from ever being a monarch of supreme authority, in other words the emperor in the British